Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and as always, I'm joined by Christian Garcia.
What up? I first want to say, Cody, I want to thank you for being the white people that get vaccinated. Because I feel like there's two kinds, the ones that do and the ones that don't. And I'm glad that you're the one that got vaccinated.
Nice. I'm one of the good ones. Yeah, kind of sucks. We're all going back to, I should say we are back from our 1 week vacation. And since we've been back, the world has gone back into shelter.
Fucking mask again because people don't fucking get vaccinated.
Yeah, well, I kind of figured it was going to happen when, they were like, hey, you don't have to wear masks inside anymore if you're not vaccinated. I'm like, oh, it's going to be like those people who have the emotional support dogs that are fucking chihuahuas and shit like that, where the dog's the most in need of emotional support. It's just like shaking. Whenever you let things be up to, you're trusting people on their word.
Yeah,
that's when things
that.
go bad. Yeah.
On the honor system, great.
Yeah, the honor system is just not the best. But we're excited to be back podcasting. It was kind of weird taking a week off. But I'm glad. Lots of stuff to talk about. Today we're going to be talking about Masters of the Universe Revelation and how we could fix that. Because I don't think it's all bad. It's been getting a lot of heat on the internet. Kevin Smith has been roasted by the Twitterverse, and he got a little defensive about it. But I think we have some suggestions on how to fix it. Hopefully we'll see these come true in the next part or season or whatever they're calling it. So we'll look forward to that after the break. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing. We do appreciate all that. Dropping us a little comment down in the YouTubes or on the Instagrams or the Twitters. We enjoy your participation. And if you want to support the show, you can check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends and support the show there. We have a bunch of fun tiers on there as well. And, we'll read out your nerdy confessions or, paint a mini for you. All sorts of good stuff on there. All that information is at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com if you want to check that out. All right, let's do some nerdy confessions. It's been 2 weeks. I have quite a bit to confess. Can't take that phone call right now. Christian, why don't you start us off?
Okay, so I know mine's are usually short, but this might be a little bit long. So I have never really read...
Never short. They're always too long.
I've never read any...
A book. I knew it. I knew you couldn't read.
That's why I do audiobooks. If I can hide it. I've never read or listened to any H.P. Lovecraft stuff. Yeah. And it was always because I've heard that he was racist. And I was just like, all right.
That was a different time back then.
Okay. So I was like, you know what?
Some might say a better time, but, different. We can all agree on.
Half of this podcast. It was a better time for half of this podcast. So I was like, all right, let me do a little bit of research. Went to Wikipedia. And it was basically like, well, he had some views, but it was normal back then. And he later changed his opinions. He's like, and he really wasn't a white supremacist because he actually thought that just English people were the best whites, and all the other whites were still bad. I'm like,
that's like an ultra white supremacist.
Yeah, I was like, that's not a good look. That's not a good look. And I was like, you know what? But his stuff is referenced in so many things. I'm like, I'll give it a try. So I downloaded the Necronomicon, and I'm like listening to it, and then I'm on Rats in the Wall, and they name his cat's name.
Okay.
The cat's name, last part is man. I'm not going to say the first part because I feel someone might splice that shit and be like, Christian's racist. But all I'll say is that it rhymes with Tigger.
Oh, jeez.
Tigger man. And I stopped the audiobook. I was like, I didn't hear that. There's no way that's what the guy said. There's
so you cranked up the volume with the windows down in your car.
I was in my car, and I was like, thank God my fucking windows are up. Yeah. So I paused the audiobook. I go and I type in on my phone, I'm like a Google search, cat's name in Rats in the Wall. And it was exactly what I heard. Yeah. It was fucking exactly what I heard. And I did not like how the narrator said, I feel like he said it with his chest out. There was no hesitation. And he says that cat's name a lot. And the dude sounded way too white to be saying that way too many times. And I would have been fine if like, dude, give me some hesitation, like a or like a like, you know, or like I don't want to say this or something. Or in the beginning of the book, hey, you might hear some shit
that
you don't want pumped up super loud in the volume. So, you know, maybe let's do it a little bit quietly.
Can you imagine like the audiobook reader guy for Huck Finn? Just that shop. He's like, Jesus Christ. How many times do I have to say it? 1,000? Oh my God.
And then so like I was doing more research.
Better be a good paycheck.
I was doing more fucking research on it, and it turns out he's like, oh, that was his actual cat name that he named when he was 9 years old. He was saying that shit at 9 years old.
Well, you know what they say. Kids say the darndest things.
Like, no one thought for a second. Like, yeah.
Did you hear what Junior named the cat?
I was just like, dude, I was like, fuck, man. Like, and this is like the second story. And like he refers to Native Americans as mongrels, and I forgot what other stuff in different short stories. Was like, dude, like you'd think more people would talk about this shit.
Yeah. No, but did you hear about Cthulhu?
Yeah, that's all you fucking hear. Oh, he got a cool god with fucking tentacles on his face, and everyone seems to forget about the other shit he fucking said.
Right. Well, you know. What are you going to do? Different time back then. You know, whenever I look at like an author like that where, you know, like even J.R.R. Tolkien had, you know, some interesting views on society as well. You know, the Uruk-hai were definitely portrayed as, you know, more African American.
See, and I wonder like in
I forget what the Eastern race is. The ones
they were
the Oliphants.
the darker skin. But
Persians or whatever.
I'm conflicted if it was more Peter Jackson or Tolkien, because in Tolkien he more describes them like gorillas, but
Christian.
But I'm just saying, but you know,
yeah.
Peter Jackson went full them like they had dreadlocks and like they were like super dark skinned, and I was like, all right, come on, man. Like,
yeah, well, you know, he was trying to keep it in the spirit of the book. Yeah, you know, you gotta. At some points, you got to be like, look, everyone was a piece of shit back then, right? Like, the fact that we got this interesting fantasy world, you know, that should be enough. Like, you can't go back in time and change things. There's terrible people back there doing terrible things. So, appreciate it for what it was. Now, if someone nowadays, if Brandon Sanderson named someone
Tigger Cat,
Enterman, you know, it would be a different story. You know, I would be like, Brandon, shame on you. I'll keep reading your books, but shame on you.
Shame on you.
But, yeah, you know, you got to take it from the context of when it was written, I suppose. You know, we mentioned this before. You know, Stephen King gets criticized a lot because he uses the N-word sometimes in his books.
But he uses it where he makes a villain look bad. It's not like a main character.
He's always trying to make someone look despicable.
Yeah,
right?
it's always the villain.
It's never the hero being just going around using racial epithets. So yeah.
But I was just more like, holy shit, and like lower the fucking volume. I was like, I don't want anyone fucking hear me listen to this shit.
That's the one thing about audiobooks. You know, every once in a while I'll read a book and there's like a graphic sex scene in it. And I'm just like, I'm riding with the windows down. I'm like, I look over and there's a van full of children just like, ah!
You just give them a thumbs up and smile.
Yeah. That's how you were made. Oh, that's not how you were made. That doesn't make babies. Yeah, I know. You got to imagine it's an interesting time being a audiobook reader on some of these books for sure.
And like maybe because I know he's a racist and like I'm just listening to the story. Some of his stuff is really good, but he does a whole lot of like, it was so terrible that your mind couldn't comprehend what it was, and he does it a lot.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, and Stephen King will do that, but he'll go like, you know, it was so terrible that the best way your mind described it was a spider-like creature. Like, give me some of that. Like, give me something to work with.
Nope, it was just because they weren't of the master race or whatever. Well, interesting. I'm glad you're reading a racist book. It's about time you learned some things. My nerdy confession is my mini addiction. It has continued, and I've recently got the newest Spira Mirabilis miniature, which is this guy named Lucas Pina. And
I actually like this one more.
You like this one better than the Ronin? I really like the Ronin one. This one's cool though. This is it's called the Troglodyte, and it's a caveman discovering fire. So It comes kind of separate. I'll post pictures of this up on the Instagram, and on the YouTube you'll be able to see a close-up picture. But it's a caveman, and he's holding a stick with fire on it. So he's like, discovered fire for the first time. He's got a cute little dinosaur on his back. And I can't wait to paint this thing. But what's always amazes me about this artist who does these is he only does 4 a year. He hand sculpts everything, so he uses modeling clay or whatever, and then casts it, and then then they make these resin molds of it. And look at this packaging. It comes with a little art piece here, kind of showing that the thing has a handwritten note with the numbered piece that I got. I got number 48 out of 513 on this one.
To write 513 thank yous, man.
A little wax seal on there with their logo on it. And if you smell the box, it's got a nice nice perfumed smell to it, like a sandalwood or something. But yeah, really impressed with these guys. I'm really excited to paint this one. I still haven't finished the Ronin one, though I have started it quite a bit. I'll post up some pictures of my progress on it so far. It's one of those things where, because the sculpting is so amazing on it and so lifelike, that it's very hard to tackle a project like that, because you're I don't want to mess this up because it looks so good, just not even painted. I don't want to fuck it up with my paint job. So you really got to take your time on it and stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to do this guy. He's got, I really want to do the glow of the fire hitting his face and stuff.
Oh, nice.
That'd be really cool.
It's going to be fucking hard.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a little thing called OSL, Object Source Lighting, where basically you replicate the glow coming off of a light source. And it's fun to do. And when it works, when it comes out good, it looks amazing. So I think I'm going to do that on that one. But yeah, man, really cool stuff. If you guys want to check them out, if you have any interest in miniature painting, it's Spira Mirabilis miniatures.com. You can find it, search it on Google and stuff, and it'll pop up. I know the spelling's fucking weird, but what are you going to do? But yeah, every year he does just 4, and he does a limited production. They're only on sale for 48 hours, and then it's done. Never made again, which is crazy. But he's very successculat it. They're very highly coveted pieces.
I'm sure this isn't his only job. I'm sure he's a sculptor for something.
Yeah, he's done other sculpts for other companies and things like that too. But this is his design, his creation, start to finish kind of thing. And his wife helps him with all the packaging and stuff, which every time it's different. The Ronin one had the little a Japanese imprint on the front, the waves and stuff like that. This one's just more of a simple black one, but it had the wax seal with twine on it around it, kind of covering it up. It's amazing. Just so much care and quality goes into something like this, and the pieces all fit together really nicely for the most part. Yeah, it's good stuff. I can't wait.
Send him pictures when it's done.
Yeah, I already sent him a little. I sent a picture of me unboxing it, kind of thing, and he commented on it. He's always very good at reposting other people doing his work and stuff. So very, very cool. Yeah, I haven't seen too many people who have finished the Ronin one yet. I saw one where the guy straight up painted him as a redheaded dude. I'm like, what?
I saw that one.
Redheaded white dude. And I was like, what are you doing? He's obviously a samurai. So I've been working on that one. Skin tone is tough. Also, the eyes were really tough because you can kind of see on this one that it's not super anatomically correct, kind of. I mean, obviously he's a caveman, so who knows? But his eyes are very, very small and very set back in there. So those are going to be muy difícil, as they say. But yeah, super excited. It's so cool. It's very cool. Very cool miniatures. All right. Well, that just about does it for Nerdy Confessions. We're going to take a quick little break, and then when we come back, we're going to fix Masters of the Universe Revelations. So, Kevin Smith, I hope you're listening. We'll be right back. we're back. All right. So, if you guys are at all in tune with the nerd world, He-Man, well, it's not He-Man. Sorry.
Well, okay.
I misspoke already. Masters of the Universe Revelation, not Revelations, Revelation, single revelation happened. Had released on Netflix, the first part of it, 5 about 24-minute episodes or whatever it was, right? Directed and written, I think, by Kevin Smith. And the internet's a little upset about it.
So I enjoyed it.
Sure.
I actually really enjoyed it. I do understand the one big point that people are upset about, were the whole bait and switch.
Sure.
You know, we all thought we were going to get a He-Man.
So we're going to do spoilers on the first 5 episodes. So if you haven't seen it and you really want to watch it without it being spoiled, which if you've read some of the internet stuff, it's been spoiled already, but we will be talking about it in depth. So just a heads up. So yeah, let's talk about this bait and switch, so to speak.
So we all thought we were going to get a He-Man led cartoon like
right.
the original.
Mm-hmm.
So we already did spoilers. I don't have my headphones. So,
yeah.
So he was killed in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's basically all focused on Teela.
Sure.
Which I was fine. I actually enjoyed the story. But I do agree, like, it should have maybe gave us a warning, like, hey, this is not going to be a He-Man led series. Right. And then, then I'm like, oh, okay, I know what I'm getting into. But, I mean, outside of that, I thought the music was great. The action was good. The animation was great. Yeah. I did enjoy some of the stuff he did. Mm-hmm. It made it more serious versus like kind of the goofy original of what it was.
Yeah, I think the one thing that a lot of fans had a problem with was the fact that everything that we saw in the promos leading up to it was He-Man fighting Skeletor. Yeah. And come to find out that this all of those promos were taken from the first episode by itself, right? And then the rest of the show follows Teela, who has been kind of disillusioned with Eternia and magic, and she feels betrayed because she didn't know that Prince Adam was He-Man, but then magic has been sucked out of Eternia, and they need to get it back to save the world and the whole universe.
And like, to be fair, his parents didn't fucking know. Like, we didn't tell his parents.
His mom knew, but she kept it secret. But his dad didn't know. Most of his friends didn't know. But yeah, I don't think the direction that Kevin Smith took it in is necessarily a problem, because a lot of things that people are forgetting is this is part 1 of who knows how much of it they're planning on.
I think it's just 10 episodes.
10 episodes. So it's just part 1.
I think if this first half was received better, they might have expanded it. Sure. But who knows?
Right. At this point, it's anybody's ball game. And but I think that I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to focus on these side characters. But at the same time, it's not what we signed up for, I think, right? I think that's a big pain point for a lot of people, is that we were expecting new He-Man versus Skeletor with frickin' Mark Hamill as Skeletor, and we wanted big, awesome magic battles, sword fights, battle cat ride, and that sort of thing. And what we did get some action, which I think was, I think the animation is all very good, but a lot of people are complaining that, first of all, it's focused almost entirely on the female characters of the show. You got Evil Lynn, Teela, what's her, Andrea?
I don't remember the new
Andra,
the new character.
Her new
homie,
girlfriend, so to speak. Who I actually like her character. I think she's really cool. And there's Roboto's in it for a little bit. Man-at-Arms is in it for a little bit.
Man-at-Arms is great, and I would have actually liked if they expanded more on his backstory. Sure,
100%. And what he's been doing since he got exiled and all that. And then Orko's in it as well. And so
I liked, since we're doing spoilers, I did enjoy that Teela, the sorceress, and Evil Lynn had to team up. They're like, okay, everything's way too shitty.
Right.
We have to team up to work together.
Yeah, I think that's a cool juxtaposition of, these two characters, who would never work together, or 3 characters, I should say, would never work together under normal circumstances.
4
but
and Orko.
And Orko, sure. He's just wants to be everyone's friend, so he would probably team up. But yeah, they wouldn't work together under normal circumstances, but because of the dire situation they're in, they have to. And Beast Man comes along eventually too, and they have to kind of band together for the good of the universe. And I think the biggest problem that a lot of people have, and don't get me wrong, there's people out there who just don't want to see a female-led show. And I understand.
Do you, Cody? Do you understand?
I understand why they're frustrated, because, look, the show is called, or the original show was called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, right? He-Man is the most masculine freaking name you could possibly come up with. And he's fucking yoked. He's bigger than any human being could ever possibly be, right? That was like the whole deal, is they're uber masculine characters, right? And at one point you got to ask yourself, who is this show for? Are they trying to make a new line of He-Man toys to sell to young children? Probably not, based off of what this show is. They're making it because they want to appeal to that nostalgic factor for the people who watched it in the 80s and 90s, right? And when you think about it from that lens, like, why would they make this show like that? You know what I mean?
Well,
it's focusing on Teela, which, I think she's a cool character. I always liked her in the original one, and she had her own episodes in the original one as well. But this very much feels like a Teela show entirely.
Which would work. Was it She-Ra?
She-Ra is very successful in that reimagining.
And both fans, like He-Man
but it's
fans,
called She-Ra.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. I think that's what people are, like, upset about, is it's like, okay, you sold me on one thing and then you gave me something else, But again, I think that was a marketing issue. Had they marketed like, hey, this is going to be a Teela-led, cartoon, then it would have been fine. People were like, oh, okay, I know what to expect.
Yeah, Teela and the Masters of the Universe would be fine. Or if it was like each like 5-episode arc of like 4 or whatever was focused on a different character, and that might still happen, right? We might see like a Man-at-Arms one that takes place during his exile, or him becoming the Man-at-Arms.
His little robot clone was also dope. He was great.
Yeah. I think that having those ones focusing on a different character in each little run would be cool. And I think that's a interesting narrative way of doing it. But the fact that this comes out, we don't know what the future of the show is necessarily. Maybe it's 10 episodes and completely done. And just having it focused all on Teela is like, what are we doing? Like, we came for He-Man and Skeletor. You know what I mean?
I will say, like, we're going to trash it a lot, or fix it. I should say fix it. I did like that he expanded the mythology of, like, Greyskull wasn't really that important.
Right.
It was underneath Greyskull where all the magic was kept.
The Hall of Wisdom or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Right. There's a lot of good stuff in here, and which is why I think this show is fixable. It's not a piece of shit. It's just, it was misguided in a few ways.
And they showed all the previous champions before He-Man, and like most of them looked like him, but there was also like some women who were the champion. Greyskull was black. I was like, oh, look at that. That's nice.
Yeah. Well, one thing that's really cool, I actually watched a video on it. Some of those other champions were like concept art for He-Man.
Oh, nice.
And then one was like a Wonder Bread version of He-Man that was used on Wonder Bread. I don't know. I don't know enough about, I watched a little bit of He-Man. It was a little bit before my time. I was much more of a Ninja Turtle G.I. Joe guy. But I do remember watching a lot of it. And so I don't know all these little side, promotional items, but apparently a lot of those other champions were, from concept art and things like that.
That's pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool. I think that's kind of fun. It really expanded the He-Man universe in a very good way, right? It showed that
we saw Orko, like where he came from.
Right, exactly. We find out a little bit more about him. We find out about the Hall of Wisdom and why Greyskull is this, why Skeletor was after it all this time kind of thing. And we finally saw Skeletor win, at the end.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we will say that. I mean, it was definitely like what was the Star Wars where the dark side wins? The second one, right?
Yeah, Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, it was very Empire Strikes Back. Actually, it was more. I mean, since we're already doing spoilers, He-Man dies twice.
Yeah.
And this time,
he gets stabbed in the last episode, and it doesn't look good.
No, and the other champions told him specifically, hey, if you leave here, you cannot come back.
What'd they call it? Proteria or whatever? The heaven.
It was heaven, basically. Yeah. And only the champions get to go.
Right.
And he's like, so if you die, you're just dead. You're just
right. You don't get to come back in Valhalla or whatever. So it's interesting to see what happens next. And I think
I'm sure he's not dead. I'm sure the source is going to come and just kind of like
Kevin Smith's a madman.
He might now, just that everyone's getting pissed off at him, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, it's too woke. It's too woke." And he's like, "The original He-Man was woke. He had female people. He had female characters that helped him. Like all his friends. Like he'd always survived and helped by his friends' help."
Right. Yeah. And those people are like the macho meatheads who can't accept any sort of change or messaging.
I was going to think maybe incels, but whatever, or a mixture of both.
It's the same thing. Yeah. I mean, I have no problem with them having a focus on female characters. I thought Evil Lynn and Orko's little side story
that was great.
Underworld. It's my favorite part of the entire show.
Where you saw her get a little soft. Like, first off, his whole life was really fucking sad. He's like, right. I realize everyone thinks I'm a loser. Like, I know, I failed my parents, I failed my friends, and she's like, damn, feel sorry for her. And then she even gives him a little boost, a little pigment,
some of her magic or whatever. And I love that Lena Headey, who is the
I knew it was her as soon as I heard the voice. I knew it was her.
Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones is the voice of Evil Lynn, which is perfect. So I thought that part was great. I liked Man at Arms, or Duncan. I like seeing him just kind of broken down and defeated. He has his funky helmet just holding fruit on the shelf.
And Evil Lynn always saying oh, man, he's like, He-Man was really nothing. It was Man at Arms.
He was the most dangerous man in Eternia.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh fuck. And I also I was like, oh, maybe Evil Lynn has a little thing.
No, she was kind of basically saying she had a thing for him.
She was like, I want to jump them bones. Hard to turn down a man with a mustache, But
he had a cool top knot later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that stuff. So there is good stuff in here.
I hate what happened. Well, I don't hate. I'm sad what happened to Orko, but it was very cool, and it gave the show more gravity. Where shit, dude, fucking characters can die. Not everyone's safe.
100%. Yeah, I think that was cool. He went
out like a G, man.
He went out saving his friends and against. I forget what that bad guy's name is. The one who hangs out in the underworld all the time. Doesn't matter. Someone will write in the comments or something. But he goes out, protecting his friends, and that's how he would have wanted to go out. So that was I don't mind stuff like that.
And you can see Evil Lynn was actually a little sad. She still called him a fool, but she felt fucking bad.
Yeah, exactly. You got to see a little human side to her. And then, Teela, they did a little bit of a character redesign on her where she looks, a little bit more butch than she did in the show, which is, I'm down for any sort of character change as long as it makes sense. And I think that does make sense. She's done being the warrior princess, where she's dressing in these crazy gowns and crap like that. And, that's another thing that kind of, upset the people who the woke haters, right? That there's some, lesbian overtones going on with her and Andra,
the scientist,
the
engineer,
artificer girl. Who cares? At the end of the day, that's not a big deal. That's not what the story is about. They didn't focus on their relationship necessarily. It's just focusing on Teela and her journey, kind of, trying to accept Prince Adam's choice as, keeping the secret from her. So, I don't think that's bad necessarily.
I do feel like they wrote her character a little selfish,
100%.
Which that part kind of bugged me. When they're in heaven, and He-Man is there, and he's basically hey, trying to apologize, and he's being nice. And she's like, "Would you stop being nice? I'm trying to be mad at you." And it's dude, you fucking die. Like, he's dead. Like,
right.
you just saw you haven't seen your friend in a long ass time.
I think it was kind of a discredit to her character in general, that like she was so petty about him keeping the secret. Like, she couldn't see like why he would want to do that. He's trying to do that to, keep his family safe and whatnot, and, to allow him to have a bit of a normal life outside of being the champion of Greyskull.
I was trying to think about it. I was like, Cody lied to me about something like that. Made a trip to heaven. I see him. I'm like, yo, fuck you. Like, I'm not gonna be mad at you. He's like, I get it. All right.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed very petty of her. So let's talk about fixing this show. And I think like the rules we should set for ourselves is, Teela still has to be a big part of it, because I mean it's hard to pull that out of it. And then let's say He-Man still has to die in the first episode.
Fuck. To
make it a little hard on ourselves, right?
Okay.
But how could we fix it to both appease the fans, and but keep expanding the He-Man universe? So
this is what could or what should happen in the second part.
We could do that. We could make minor changes to the first part too, though. Okay. I'm down for either one. I think my here's something to get us started. My first kind of tweak to this is I think we should have when we visit He-Man in heaven or Valhalla or whatever. One of the champions, I don't remember if it's Hero or Greyskull or whatever, mentions that He-Man is the only champion to ever keep his normal form.
Yeah, he didn't stay in his champion form.
Right. I think we should have seen more of He-Man in heaven, and maybe not in the second episode, because that's, we want to know that, he's gone. We want to think he's gone. We're like, oh shit, what's happening? But maybe at the end of the second episode, we see him waking up in heaven and dealing with meeting Greyskull and all these. And I think that would have been an excellent opportunity to both find out more about the champions of Greyskull and the history of Eternia and expand that universe even more. But also, we could kind of think, find out why he sees himself more as Prince Adam than he does as He-Man.
See, I guess I would have done it a little bit different, where like, I mean, you said I'm going to break the rules. I wouldn't have had him die.
Sure.
But I would have had him lose his power.
Interesting.
And then he would just stay as Adam. Mm-hmm. And then that way he's in the show. Teela is still the lead, and she has to deal with the issue of like, she's still the lead because she's the hero. He doesn't have the power anymore, but the struggle of them trying to fix that relationship.
Ooh, I like that.
See, and that could have like just led the show. Like, she's still the lead, but Adam is still there.
And that, honestly, that's a really good call, because I think one thing that could have happened is like the power sword absorbs all the power from this orb exploding in the first episode, and maybe that shattering the sword eliminates his ability to become He-Man.
Right, and he could still be with them. She can still save him at every point because he's going to be helpless.
And you could have this cool conflict where, she's mad at him for keeping the secret, sure, but he's also like, he's still himself, and he wants to take the lead on everything, but now he can't because he's just regular Prince Adam.
Or maybe he learns like there's other things he can use. Like maybe the power wasn't everything he fucking needed to be a hero.
He could still be a hero without the power of grace.
Right.
Yeah.
And then maybe he got it back later, But,
yeah, exactly. Obviously, we would want him to get it back eventually. But, he would have to learn how to become a hero without the power.
Right.
And I mean, like, talk about your hero's journey. Like, that's a classic trope of these kind of shows. And I think that they could have really, and then we could have learned more about Teela and how she's been kind of how she has felt working in his shadow this whole time.
Yeah, I mean, she still could have left, done her mercenary work, and then he could have been the one like, hey, we need your help. Like, I'm fucking, and then they could have had like the whole, I'm mad at you fucking.
Yeah, so after all magic is leaving Eternia, he goes back to the palace and he's just like, he doesn't know what to do. And then he does some research and he finds out that like, oh, the magic leaving Eternia is killing the universe. So he has to go round up his band of friends again.
Or even then,
to get the A-Team back together.
Even then, like, to fucking go to Evil Lynn to be like, hey, we actually need your help.
Right.
And then Teela's like, no, we can't fucking work with her. She's evil. But He-Man himself, or Adam himself, is like, no, we fucking need, like, we need this.
Exactly. He has to convince the sorceress that this is the best for them. And then it's like, oh, well, we're going to need some muscle. And then we'll go find Teela. And he was like, well, let's go find Man-at-Arms. And Man-at-Arms has been like, you know,
what they did with Man-at-Arms could have been the same. Like, a whole lot wouldn't have to change.
Yeah, exactly. And then, you know, we would still have a He-Man focused show, but we would still learn a lot about Teela. We would learn more about Evil Lynn. We'd have all that stuff with Duncan Man-at-Arms. Like, most of the show could have been the same.
Yeah.
But it's just, you know, then you wouldn't have all these rabid fans upset about not having He-Man.
And then episode 5, when he gets betrayed by, he would have been betrayed by Evil Lynn, and then Skeletor would have come back. Mm-hmm. I think the impact of that death would have been more. You're like, oh shit, like, all he was trying to do was do the right thing. He got fucking killed.
Right. Yeah, and then, yeah, he's about to get his power back. Then he gets killed. Then maybe he wakes up in heaven. And then that's what the second part of the season is. Because then it's on this huge cliffhanger. You're like, oh, shit. And then he comes back later and it does. I think that would have been a much more solid, you know, story structure of this show. And, you know, it leaves plenty of room for action and him having to grow as a character. Because, let's face it, like, He-Man, that Saturday morning cartoon version of He-Man, it was a Saturday morning cartoon. It wasn't just meant to be like this deep, you know, mythological story, but we've kind of built that ourselves over the years through nostalgia and reimagining and, you know, playing with the toys and making up your own storylines. But this would have really given depth both to him, to Teela, Man-at-Arms, Evil Lynn. You would have had the whole gamut. Everyone would have had.
And they're in, to say on some of the stuff I liked the guy with the rotating eyes. I forgot his name.
Oh, yeah, Triclops.
Yeah, I mean, that was cool that, like, he had started a cult.
Right.
And, like, he has, like, this new power source where it's, like, technology is now, like, trying to take over magic. And what was he called? I think the motherboard or something?
Motherboard, yeah.
Like, I was hoping to hear more. So maybe, like, I think that was a cool aspect, you know? Like, like, Skeletor's gone. Like, now his minions are trying to, like, scramble for power.
Exactly. And I think we'll see more of that. I don't think we've seen the last of like, that techno cult thing that's come up. So I think that we could definitely see more of that in the next season or the next part of this season. But, yeah, you're right. I think, you know, they were kind of always in the background, and we saw a little bit of what they did, you know, when Teela's, like, you know, undercover at their ritual or whatever, which was crazy.
It was slightly dark, but I wish it had gone a little bit darker. Like, he was transforming people into, like, cyborgs, and, like, but people were, like, willingly going, and then you see this kid who's, like, you're thinking, like, oh, this kid doesn't want to do it. Like, no, that kid totally wanted to fucking do it. And then they did it, and he was trying to attack.
Like robot arms. Yeah. And stuff. Yeah, I think, you know, and that's another thing, too, I think they could have done with this show is, like, this should be a mature rated show. Like, I want to see people's arms get chopped off and stuff. Because, again, like, who is this show for? You're not going to get a bunch of little kids watching this show for the first time and getting into He-Man.
Well, they wouldn't have a chance because they only had one episode to like him.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't do that at all, really. But, like, even if He-Man was in the show, it's like you're not going to get a whole new audience of people buying toys, buying merch and stuff from this 5-episode arc that we just saw, because it already depends on you knowing those characters, knowing some of the backstory, and, you know, it's hard to gain new members. What you're really trying to do is capitalize on people's nostalgia and get people who are our age watching the show and getting excited about it again.
You know, I'm actually, like, thinking about, I'm surprised Kevin Smith did not see that coming. Like,
100%.
Like, hey, what did you guys love about He-Man? Fucking He-Man. Awesome. What if I took him out? Wait, what?
Yeah. What if we killed him? Twice.
It's like, what?
You guys like He-Man and Skeletor, right? Yeah, I fucking love them. Well, too bad. Like, You like Mark Hamill? You think he'd be a good Skeletor?
Like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that'd be fucking awesome. Well, he's only going to be in 2 episodes, and then he's going to kill He-Man in both episodes. And then he's just not going to be in the rest of the show. Wait, but why? Well, we figured we'd turn Leela into this, like, you know, super angsty, like, lesbian, and just have her go around complaining about how she was lied to all this time. And we figured that would be a compelling story.
That would be for all the audiences that love He-Man, right? Right? That's the story you want to hear.
Wait, but why? She and He-Man were best friends. Nah, I don't think so. She's never going to forgive him for lying to her. But what? Yeah, oh, you guys like Orko, right? Oh, he's one of my favorite characters. Yeah, he's going to explode.
Yeah. He's going to die.
What?
We're like, what?
What about Cringer? Yeah, he's cool. Battle Cat, that's fucking awesome. Well, he's going to turn into Battle Cat one time, and then he's just going to show up in the last episode being like, hey, guys, I was here the whole time.
You know, hey, but, you know, give it to him because he actually is the one that convinced Teela to go on the mission. Like, she wasn't going to do it.
Right, exactly.
So.
But Teela. I think there's a lot. Here's one thing, too, that kind of bothered me about the show. I thought most of the voice acting was great. I didn't think Teela's was that good.
Oh, I didn't think anything of it.
I just, for some reason, like Evelyn was awesome. Orko was fantastic. Cringer was great. He-Man and Prince Adam was great.
Man-at-Arms.
Man-at-Arms was great. I thought all of those guys were good. Man-at-Arms also is the Onion Knight from Game of Thrones.
What?
The Onion Knight.
Oh, the voice?
Yeah.
Voice. Nice.
Yeah. So they got 2 Game of Thrones people in there. But yeah, Teela, I think it was Sarah Michelle Gellar played Teela.
Yes.
I don't know. I just felt like some of her lines were pretty flat. You know, like a voice actor generally does a pretty good job of being animated and really making the performance come to life. I felt like hers was a little flat. Everyone else I thought did a fantastic job. Mark Hamill, of course, is a master. But yeah, I think that.
We're not touching on Skeletor got the sword.
Yeah, he got the sword of power and became the master of the universe at the end.
And he's like a giant.
Yeah, super buffed out Skeletor. Yeah,
like it's gonna be hard. Like, okay, he was a great foe without the sword.
Right.
Like now he has the sword.
Yeah, and so now they're gonna have to overcome this in season 2. So now that we've kind of quote unquote fixed season 1, what do you think would be the best plot line, the best outcome for season 2?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think he's going to kill off permanently He-Man. So I feel like he's not going to be dead. He's going to come back. And I think basically what I had said in the beginning, let him live, be without the sword, is kind of what they're going to do in the back end. Yeah. Which,
but then how is he going to eventually overcome He-Man?
I don't know. A trickery?
I
don't know.
Skeletor.
It's a trick. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be a battle, like a straight up fight. Honestly, I don't know where I would take it from here.
Right.
Because I wouldn't have started from this approach. So it's tough for me to say.
I think that's the biggest problem with the show is that whether it's going to be a 1 season one and done or the intention was to make multiple seasons expanding on it, the way it started is strange. You've already had the bad guy win, not once but twice, in destroying the orb and eventually getting the sword of power.
But magic is back.
Magic is back. And then you've also eliminated the main protagonist of the series twice. So it's an interesting place to be in. And I think you're right. I'm hoping that He-Man recovers from his wounds, but it takes slower because he's Prince Adam and he doesn't have the power anymore. And maybe he has to deal with that. Let's hope that that's what happens, because I think you can steer the show back and save it with that. But if he just dies and now Teela and the rest of the remaining crew have to figure out how to stop Skeletor, I don't know if that's.
It would be pretty fucking tough.
It'd be tough.
But I don't know. Kevin Smith does tell great comic book stories. I mean, maybe we're wrong. Maybe what he's going to do is going to be amazing. I really like the stuff he did for DC. So I don't know. Let's see.
One thing about Kevin Smith is that I think at his best, he can be one of the best storytellers of of our generation's movies and stuff, right? Like you think about Clerks, Chasing Amy is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Well, that's one that got him, like, people were looking at like, oh shit, this dude can actually can do some stuff.
Right.
And it was funny because I was watching an interview and they're like, how come you can't do another Chasing Amy? He's like, well, I was like, that happened to me in real life, and I was
heartbroken.
Yeah, heartbroken. I had a shitty life, and these were real things that happened. He's like, I'm rich now, and I have a good life. Yeah. I don't have those stories to tell anymore. So
which to me is a little bit of a cop out. Also, one of Kevin Smith's movies, which was not very good. But to me, that's a little bit of a cop out because a good storyteller can make a good story and make it relatable. And like, if a lot of people might not think about this, but if you watch Clerks 2 is one of the most heartfelt movies that I've ever seen.
Because of Pillow Pants?
The Pillow Pants or the fucking donkey show.
Yeah, the donkey show.
Yeah.
Or the ass to mouth.
Ass to mouth. It's like, oh, fuck. Dude, I just talked to a guy. I just shit on Lord of the Rings so much a guy threw up. So I think that, he can still make very heartfelt movies and very compelling stories. It's just whether he wants to or not. Because, he does other things like, like Tusk, which...
I still haven't seen it.
It was interesting, for sure.
I did enjoy Red State.
Red State was interesting, too.
I think it's a slept-on horror movie.
Yeah. He got kind of into the horror subgenre for a little while there. And I don't mind, like, directors taking a different direction for a while. But at the end of the day, like what everyone wants is we want Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma even. Dogma was awesome.
Dogma was
I
awesome.
fucking love that one. We want the View Askew-averse, The new Jay and Silent Bob was fine. Wasn't exactly what I wanted, but, I think that there was some good stuff in there. I think he's just lost his way a little bit, and I think maybe part of it is being rich and comfortable and not having, even if his movie doesn't do great, he still has his podcast to fall back on or his other shows that he produces or writing comic books.
Which he's asked to be a guest on ours, but we had to turn him down because Cody has a love and hate relationship.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I could keep it civil. I would just yell at him and be like, dude,
what are you doing? Why?
Why? What are you doing? Stop making bad movies. Make good movies again. It's not that hard. Just be yourself. Though apparently Clerks 3 is filming, so I do have high hopes for that. It's finally gotten off the ground. And, I think that hopefully he'll hit his stride again. And I think that, with this Masters of the Universe, there's a potential that he could save it in the end. But I don't know. He's one of these guys who, like, I'm very surprised that this is how the first part of this season went, because he seems like he's normally so in tune with fandom and nerddom. Like he releases those videos every time a Star Wars comes out where he fucking cries. And don't get me wrong, I got emotional too when Force Awakens.
I'm surprised he's still a big fan of Star Wars because they did him pretty nasty at Hall H in Comic-Con.
Yeah.
That's where they had the concert outside, right?
Yeah, so that's a funny story. Yeah, so at Comic-Con, Hall H is the big 6,800 seat.
Which who knows
hall.
with fucking COVID if it'll ever happen again.
Right, we'll see what happens. It's the big giant hall at Comic-Con where they announce all the big stuff, all the Marvel movies, all the DC movies, all the Star Wars movies. And so Kevin Smith always closes it out Saturday night. So after Marvel, after Warner Brothers, DC, after Star Wars, if they happen to be there, he closes it out with a Q&A live podcasting that he does there. And so one year we went.
I was not at that one.
You were not at that one. They did Star Wars: The Force Awakens was being announced, and they were having a panel at Comic-Con. So we got in line at like 10 in the morning for this panel, and I think it was either 10 in the morning for that. No, it wasn't that day. It was the day before. So we waited in line for more than 24 hours basically to get into this thing. And then at the panel, they had, they brought out Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford. I mean, and all, of course, the new cast and stuff. And it was super emotional, and everyone's like, oh my God, this is the best. And at the end of that, which theirs was the last panel before Kevin Smith, they're like, we have a special surprise for you. We're going to bring you guys, everyone gets up and walks with us, follow us over here, we're going to give you a live concert of Star Wars music. And so the whole auditorium gets up. We walk in this giant mass over to this outdoor symphony hall that they have in San Diego, and they hand everyone free lightsabers and then there's beers and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff. And then they come out with the orchestra and they play Star Wars music with fucking fireworks shooting off over the bay. I'm man enough to admit that I cried like a little baby, and I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it because it was so awesome. I love Star Wars so much, and all the cast and stuff were there to introduce it and everything. But Kevin Smith
was
backstage watching everyone get up and leave. Then he took pictures of it, and there was there was 400 people maybe who were waiting in line hoping to get in afterwards, because people leave all the time. And they're like, "Oh, this is awesome! We got in," and it's just a big empty looking auditorium. It was great. That's what I'm saying. I'm shocked he's still a fan. But yeah, so hopefully the second half of Masters of the Universe picks up and takes some of our suggestions.
Reach out to us, Kevin Smith.
We will write your shows for you. We'll make it happen. Because I know you get teary-eyed when you think about Star Wars, and, I'm with you on that. But also, it's been a while since you had a real hit. So,
What do you think approach to him would be like when he throws that idea? Do you think he'd be like, do you have to be just straight with him, no? Or you'd be like, yes, and, or maybe we can try.
I know you want to kill He-Man, but here's the thing. People watching this show want to see He-Man. That's what they want, is a He-Man show. So maybe instead of that, hear me out, I think we could do a thing where he loses his powers and then he has to get the band back together, It's like Blues Brothers, where he's going and collecting all the people.
But I wonder if he's the type of guy to be like, fuck you, you're fired. And you can't say that shit.
I think if you kind of approach it from a good place, I'd like to think this. If you approach it from a place of fandom, and you speak nerd to nerd, hopefully he would be willing to take suggestions. He seems, as much as we shit on some of his ideas in this podcast, I think
we should correct that. Mostly you shit on his ideas. Yeah. I forgive a lot of stuff for Kevin Smith because he was one of my first favorite directors.
100%. He was the first director who made me aware that I could like a director. You know what I mean? There's fans out there of, Steven Spielberg movies or George Lucas movies or whatever.
But those type of guys, they don't reach out to the fans where Kevin Smith would. Right.
Kevin Smith had, always came from a very humble space, and he was the first person who, you could tell when you were watching a Kevin Smith movie by the feel of it, how the characters talk to each other, the stories that they would tell, and how he would tug on the heartstrings, where he has a very good directorial touch to a movie. You think about someone else like a Wes Anderson movie. From the get-go you're watching a Wes Anderson movie. Kevin Smith was the first director who I could tell without reading anything about the movie. Once I was watching it, I could tell, oh, this is a Kevin Smith movie. And I think he's lost some of that.
Come on, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, talk to your boy.
Oh, I know, dude.
Oh, did you see Matt Damon got in trouble?
No.
It was something. Oh no, it was weird because he said that something about I'm trying to think. Let's just say it rhymes with maggot, but it wasn't maggot with an F.
Oh God.
And he was just saying he never used those terms. He was having a conversation with his daughter. He's like, yeah, I never used those terms. Wait a fucking minute.
You grew up in Boston?
You grew up in fucking Boston.
Yeah.
You're telling me you never... He says he's never said, a slur. And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Boston? And you never said a slur?
That was every other word in people in Boston back then.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. No one believes that bullshit.
Yeah. But I think, I think there's hope for He-Man. Let us know what you think. Do you like our ideas? What suggestions do you have? Were you upset at this thing? Maybe, I think there's a lot of people who enjoyed it. But if you're a He-Man fan, Like, is this what you wanted? Is this the continuation of the story of He-Man that you wanted? Or do you like our suggestions better? And if you do, tag Kevin Smith, because, hey.
We need work.
We need work. Like, you know, we constantly shell out these good ideas on this podcast.
We drop gold all the time.
Drop gold. And then they keep mysteriously showing up, you know, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or in the DC Cinematic
It's particularly
universe.
the Blade shit.
The Blade.
And
we were so on.
If we would only posted the episode before.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think
it posted the day of.
I think it posted the day of or something, or the day before maybe. But yeah, we fucking called it down to the actor.
Yep.
It was amazing. But let us know what you think down in the comments. And while you're down there, make sure you click like and subscribe. Click the little bell to be notified when a new show comes out every single week. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, just follow us, and we'd appreciate that. Let us know what you think. Let us know on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We read all of your comments, and we do appreciate them. All of our information, of course, is at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com. And you can support the show at patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Yes. Give us some money so we can make our own He-Man series.
Yeah, we only need a couple $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. And staff and studio to pick it up and a place to stream it. And you can find that at patreon.com/nerdswithfriends. Thank you to all of our patrons who already support us. We couldn't do the show without you. Your names are flowing up into the Hall of Heroes with He-Man and Greyskull. And Christian, thank you as always for.
Thank you. I forgot to comment. I like your QAnon shirt.
My QAnon shirt. It's a
I know.
It's a red, white, and blue beard.
I know, but like from this angle for a little bit, it looked like a Q.
Interesting. And to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. And I have the power. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you and good night.